Have you ever wondered what it takes to change the world? Not just a little bit, but to completely reshape how we live, work, and travel? Today, we're diving into the incredible story of a man who did just that. A farm boy from Michigan who, with grit, genius, and a whole lot of stubbornness, rose from obscurity to become an industrial king. This is the story of Henry Ford, the man who put the world on wheels. It all starts back in 1863 on a small farm in Dearborn, Michigan. Young Henry wasn't like the other kids. While they were busy with farm chores, his mind was captivated by something else: machines. He was fascinated by how things worked. Legend has it, at just 13, he received a pocket watch as a gift. Most kids would have just been happy to tell time. Not Henry. He immediately took it apart, piece by piece, just to see if he could put it back together again. And he did. This wasn't just a hobby. It was a sign of a mechanical genius that was about to be unleashed. He soon became the local watch repairman, honing his skills on the intricate gears and springs of timepieces. But watches were too small for his ambitions. His real epiphany came when he first saw a self-propelled steam engine on the road. It was clunky, slow, and loud, but to Ford, it was the future. He saw a world where people were untied to their farms or limited by the speed of a horse. He saw freedom, and he was determined to build it. At 16, against his father's wishes for him to take over the farm, Henry left home for Detroit. He took a job as an apprentice machinist, earning just a couple of dollars a week, but the experience was priceless. He was learning the language of metal and motion. After a few years of bouncing between jobs, even returning to the farm for a while to help his family, Ford's passion for engines never faded. He took a job as an engineer at the Edison Illuminating Company. This was a pivotal moment. Working for Thomas Edison himself, Ford was at the heart of innovation. He worked his way up to chief engineer, a role that gave him the time and money to pursue his personal project: building a gasoline-powered engine. He worked tirelessly in a small brick shed behind his house, which he later called his experimental workshop. Then, in the dead of night on June 4, 1896, it happened, the moment of truth. After 2 years of relentless work, his first creation was ready. He called it the quadricycle. It was basically a frame with 4 bicycle wheels, powered by a 2-cylinder engine. But there was one small problem. In his excitement to build it, he hadn't considered how to get it out of the shed. The door was too small. Without a second thought, Ford grabbed an axe and smashed through the brick wall. He pushed his quadricycle out into the rainy Detroit night and started it up. It worked. The clattering, sputtering machine took him on his first ever drive, and in that moment, the automotive revolution had truly begun. But building one car is one thing. Building an empire is another. Ford's first 2 attempts at starting a car company failed. Investors got impatient. Disagreements arose, and the companies folded. Many would have given up. But Henry Ford was not most people. He learned from his mistakes. He realized he needed to prove his car's worth, not just as a novelty, but as something reliable and powerful. How do you do that in the early 1900s? You go racing. In 1901, Ford challenged Alexander Winton, America's most famous race car driver, to a high-stakes race. Ford's car, Sweepstakes, was the underdog. During the race, Winton's car started to fail, while Ford's kept going. Against all odds, Henry Ford won. The victory made him a local hero overnight, and more importantly, attracted new investors who believed in his vision. With this new backing, he founded the Ford Motor Company in 1903. This time, it would be different. Ford knew that to succeed, he couldn't just build cars for the rich. His dream was to build a car for the great multitude, a car so affordable and simple that any man with a good salary could own one. This was a radical idea. At the time, cars were handcrafted luxury toys for the wealthy. Ford wanted to democratize the automobile, and he had the perfect design to do it: The Model T, introduced in 1908, the Model T was a masterpiece of simplicity and durability. It was tough enough to handle the terrible roads of rural America, easy to repair, and light on its feet. Ford famously said, "Any customer can have a car painted any color that he wants, so long as it is black." Why only black? Because black paint dried the fastest, and speed was everything. To make his dream a reality, Ford needed to build the Model T faster and cheaper than anyone had ever built anything before. This need for efficiency led to his most groundbreaking innovation, the moving assembly line. Inspired by the continuous flow processes he saw in flour mills and meatpacking plants, Ford and his engineers perfected a system where the car chassis was pulled along a line, with workers at each station adding a specific part. The results were staggering. The time it took to build a single Model T plummeted from over 12 hours to just 93 minutes. The price dropped dramatically, from $850 in 1908 to under $300 by the mid-1920s. The Model T became the car for everyone. Ford wasn't just selling cars. He was selling a new way of life. But Ford's revolution didn't stop on the factory floor. He knew that to keep his assembly line running, he needed a stable, motivated workforce. Factory work was repetitive and grueling, and worker turnover was incredibly high. So, in 1914, he made a move that stunned the industrial world. He announced the $5 day. He more than doubled the typical wage for factory workers, from about $2.30 to a flat $5 per day. It was an unheard of sum. Critics called him a mad socialist who would bankrupt his company. They were wrong. The $5 day was a stroke of business genius. The best workers from all over Detroit flocked to Ford's factories. Turnover plummeted, productivity soared, and most importantly, he created a new class of consumers. His own workers could now afford to buy the cars they were building. He wasn't just raising wages. He was creating his own market. This principle helped build the American middle class and established a new relationship between companies and their employees. Henry Ford became one of the richest and most famous men in the world. He had achieved his dream. By 1927, over 15 million Model Ts had been sold, accounting for half the cars in the world. He had taken a simple idea, a car for the masses, and used it to build an industrial empire that transformed society. He changed our cities, created suburbs, and gave ordinary people a level of personal freedom they had never known. Of course, Ford's story isn't without its controversies. He was a complex and often contradictory man, but there's no denying his impact. From a small farm shed to a global empire, his life is a powerful testament to the force of a single-minded vision. He saw a future that no one else could, and he didn't just wait for it to happen. He built it, piece by piece, on an assembly line that set the world in motion. His story reminds us that with enough passion, innovation, and a refusal to accept failure, one person truly can change everything. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this journey into the life of an industrial titan, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more stories about the people who shaped our world. Let us know in the comments which innovator you'd like to see us cover next. See you in the next video.